Oh, so hey, black women. I'm in the park. I don't have long, but I wanted to come and talk to you guys today during lunch break because I'm going to have to take some time and really put together a video. I'm going to try to probably do it in two parts, and it's going to be in response to RWS hashtag exposed, whatever she's calling herself now, Matrix something, her live today. And what I want to do is I want to talk about and speak to all of the ignorance basically that goes on with content creators and this unspoken rivalry that should not exist. The fact that, you got all these feuds online simply because people don't like being corrected or having someone who's allowed to be in the chat unless they're blocked explain that maybe some of the things that you're saying are not exactly, hey, hi everybody, is not exactly the way you say it is, or that that's all to it. There's oftentimes an extension to the truth to every particular parameter and instance in life. And so I'm going to actually just take my time and do a two-part video on that, because what I want to do is I want to go back to my age period of when I was in my 20s to 40s, and then do it then versus today, and show that there's not this huge difference of equality, or not. The word is not even properly equality. The word is equity for black women back in the so-called days as it is now. And what I'm going to do is prove that this whole theory that a lot of these young black women who are content creators on YouTube are constantly trying to project about this big division and this big hate mongering between younger and older black women is based off of the I'm gonna use Cynthia's slang, right? Proximity to wealth, ability, and employment is not a real thing. Okay, so if you go to, so for those of you that just came in and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about RWS hashtag exposed, who, I don't really care whether, yeah, I used to like her a lot. Of course, today, since she insulted me, I don't really care for that much. I still don't have enough maturity to understand that some of her message is quite, you know, amicable to the young black women today, but primarily, all it ever does is blackmail bang. It doesn't really give any resources for ways for black women to improve themselves or do anything other than just sit up and talk about nana and a boo boo. This black guy is worse off than me or you. That I'm not, if you're subscribed to me, that is not what I'm interested in. I've never been interested in only that. I'm always and have been interested only in the progression of black women and making sure that black women know that there are tools and resources out there for them to upgrade any part of their life they choose to do that with. So let's get to the beef of what happened today. So today she was doing a live, and pretty much she was doing what she normally does, which is male bash, right? Which I don't care for. I mean, to me, I think it is lackluster, and it really doesn't help black women get where they're supposed to be. Is it motivating? Most definitely, to people who need that type of motivation. But for others that are able to immediately self-center and understand that there's no one else on this earth more important than you yourself, and getting out of life what you need to get out of it, you don't need 1,000 women on here constantly telling you what's wrong with black men for you to get your shit together. And if you do, I don't know, you might need more help than we could give you. So to get to it, right, I'm gonna just go over like a little brief synopsis of it. I'm not gonna go into it because I'm gonna actually take my time and do two-part video to show you how things were and how they are now, and that there really is no difference. And the only advantage that black women have today in this time in our economic and socio demographic is the internet. And the fact that with the internet, we all got the same 24 hours in the day. If you really wanted to do something to change your life significantly, you could. Okay? So Let me read this real quick, then I'll get back to what I was saying. So, Manage is saying, I can't get with the fact that they keep trying to push this narrative of acting like all black women are horrible parents, and if they have a son, that they are male identified, which is not true at all. You know what, Managed? Thank you for saying that, and welcome to the channel because I have never seen you here before. And my apologies if you have been, but you're absolutely right. And it goes into this ridiculous narrative that was created when many of the black creators tried to categorize themselves and differentiate themselves between this one, that one, and the other with divestors, black women empowerment, all this nonsense that I don't agree with the titles because in every particular group there's something positive and there's something extremely negative, right? So, and when you're a black woman, you're not one dimensional. You are multi-dimensional and then some because you have to survive in this world. But this is just my opinion. This is not based on fact, right? The only reason why they keep pushing that narrative is because they're sorry in their own lives currently, right? I often notice that when she's doing a live, right, and I'm basing this live about her because she based her live off of me earlier and was actually accusing me of doing something that they all do when I'm simply trying to share information. Never once will you see my comments be insulting to the individual talking. I'm always speaking to the material or the summary of the content, which they can't seem to understand the difference of. So anyway, anytime you give different information or you say, no, that's not true because this is the situation and this is in existence, they take it as, oh, she's coming at me. And then they start doing this infantile thing that they do of so-called dragging for filth. I have no idea what that colloquialism means. It sounds ignorant because I don't understand that. Drag for filth. Two different things. It doesn't make any sense. There's no connection. So anyway, she was doing that. She was talking about how she's tired of mammies like me, which I don't like using that word. I rarely use it because it is an antebellum slave word, slang, or phrase that was created to insult and dehumanize our ancestors that were enslaved by the very people who colonized this land and made it what it is today. So when I hear people talking like that kind of like turns me off intellectually anyway from them because if you don't have enough respect for your ancestors, how do you have respect for the people you're talking to? I know you don't. And in her particular case, I've literally heard her too many times literally say from her mouth that she doesn't like black women and that she doesn't really have them as friends and that she doesn't care to have them as friends and that basically they make her sick, in a nutshell. So if that's the case and if that's the way all of these so-called black women content creators are on here feeling about black women, then why waste your time? Because clearly, if you want us to all crash and burn, then why waste your time talking to us? There's only one reason. Whatever little cash app that you think that you can get out of it is what you're here for. Because if it was really about helping black women, in her case, she would be more talking about the things that black women could do in their lives that do not include black males in order to uplift themselves. Like, she was trying to make an argument that there are no resources basically today to help black women as they were, in her words, to buffer us older black women the way they were back in this so-called day. And then she kept referring to me as elderly, ugly, and I don't think she said ugly, but elderly, she indirectly attributed to that and called me obese. And the thing that I can't stand with the younger ones that go on this rant of this ignorance is they really know what they're talking about when they're talking to particular people. Like, I am exactly 55. Since she wanted to know how old I am, I'll tell her now. And I was at work, so I couldn't really go back and forth with her the way I guess she would like. But me being 55, technically, if you don't know anything, I'm not elderly. You actually have to be 65 in America to be considered elderly. Okay? Then secondly, just because my age is a certain demographic, right, does not mean that I am, suffering from muscle atrophy or I'm not strong, or I'm not able to physically hurt or do whatever I can to defend myself, because I don't know if she knows it or not, but I am militarily trained, law enforcement trained. I actually know how to fight professionally, and I do take great pride in keeping up my physical strength, stamina, and ability in everything. My mind is first important to me, body second. And even looking at me, you can see I'm not the type of person that goes off trying to show off my body. And that's just a personal, modest thing about me. But everybody who's ever seen me in person, like all the women that actually came to the first Black Femicide march, they can tell you. Ask them how I look. If I'm some old, frumpy, fat, obese woman, they'll clearly tell you how I actually look. And I think I've been on this video or on videos enough for you to understand that I am nowhere near obese, and I'm nowhere near being fat or frumpy. But if that's what she likes to say to make her happy, I will not stop her. But if she thinks, as she was trying to attribute that I was the grandma with the cane needing help up the steps, she would be sadly mistaken. But it is what it is. So that's the type of nonsense she was talking about today, simply because I have said to her, you're very negative. Whenever you talk to young Black women, it is always about them being hopeless and helpless. And that doesn't help. They're not hopeless. They're not helpless. There's plenty of things out there for them to take advantage of. But what I see in these wrong young ladies that are on these different content creators platforms is that they're always looking to scapegoat somebody's mama or somebody's grandmother for the lack of resiliency and get up and go in them personally that they just don't possess. Now, when I make that two-part video about then versus now, right, I'm going to show you how it was hard for Black women back then. Now, she may think it was easy. It was not. And she made one point that was actually valid, which was when she talked about the COVID epidemic, and she spoke about how COVID wiped out a lot of older women and older people that were the head of households in many families to pass on generational wealth by leaving their homes to people, right? And being the actual head cornerstones in those families where when people fell down on hard times, they could always go back to Big Mama or whoever, however you call your grandparent in your family, to get back on your feet after life has knocked you down a peg. Now, she was right about that. But what she doesn't want to realize is that us Black women, not me, but my grandmother and my mother, right? They had to deal with a level of discrimination and segregation that she would never be able to deal with in order to gain those things. And I'm coming to you in a minute, Manish, but I got to make this point. And it wasn't like anything was given to those Black women. Though she's not even aware of the fact that my mother was born in 1950. My grandmother was born 1919, right? And her mother was born in the 1800s. Every one of those women, even though they were three generations of the same family, none of them had access to a credit card. None of them had access to owning a bank account. And this is the type of stuff I'm talking about, that these young girls today that think they know every goddamn thing, and when actually older women who have actually lived through living history in America, we try to tell them, no, that's not true. That's not the way that happened. It happened this way. Then I'm accused of, oh, you're always trying to act like you smarter than somebody. You know it all. You're trying to come at me. I'm intelligent, true. You're trying to push down on me, trying to make it seem like I'm not as much as an adult as you. I never come from that angle. And I do understand, and like I told her, she was doing a lot of projecting of her own personal life and life experience. I don't know where she lives, but I'm blessed enough to live in a city like New York City that offers Black women a lot of advantages. I'm not ignorant. I know that the South, the West, the Midwest, and all the rest of the areas in America don't always offer Black women the same advantages and opportunities. So you do have to account for that as well. But the things that she was saying about how we were buffered and pretty much given everything or helped to get everything is a mother fucking lie, okay? She doesn't even know that there was an actual law that had to go into effect in 1972 for women of all races to have credit cards and bank accounts. Before that, they had to rely on their husbands. So this is why when we're saying you child, you today you have it 1,000 times easier than even I did, my mom, my grandmom, and definitely my great grandmother, who was a black woman who was born a slave and raped by a white man. Okay, please, this is why I was saying to her, and I wasn't getting upset, but I'm just saying, like, you're very negative. You're not well informed, and all you do is bash black males. Now, bashing black males is a good thing because it makes black women create a barrier to being taken advantage of by these dudes who are taking black women's lives and black children's lives every day, every 4 to 5 hours of the day, coming into their households and traumatically abusing them with domestic violence and so on and so forth. So in that case of man bashing, to tell the women to stay away from them, she's 100% right. But that ignorant ass narrative of a woman like me who has 3 sons, so now you all know, and 4 daughters, because I have 7 children in total, right? I am not an antebellum slave. Slang, name, or whatever opinion you have of me. I am a very hardworking, educated woman who, unlike many black women, inherited a dowry from my father that was passed down from my grandfather, who had sense enough to understand that as a black man in his time in America, who could not make a lot of money, he paid into multiple life insurances so that when he died, he could give his family and grandchildren money he could not physically earn and make in life. He gave it to us in death. So as I got that dowry as a young woman, I was able to invest in my future, education, buy a home, and do other things I wanted to do, which gave me a footing in life. And whether somebody gives you a dowry or not, black women, do not be taken aback by what I just said. You could do the same thing for yourself and your own children or family members right now. Me, I'll let you know some personal information about me. I happen to have three sons, 1 daughter, and I have, out of those kids, I have 6 grandchildren. Okay? Now, with all 6 of those grandkids, right, I pay into investments for those 6 grandchildren right now every week, so that by the time they're 18, I set up the account for them to get a cash payment out at 18 and at 21, because I figure at 18 they'd be going into college. I don't know, I'm just assuming. And by 21 they should be almost finished their first degree. So if they needed money to continue on with a master's or a PhD, they have the money from me from now. These kids are in elementary school, with the exception of one who's in junior high school. But I have been paying into these accounts for my grandchildren since they were born. So when she had gotten to a segment, I know I skipped over something, I'm going back. She had talked about a segment of how can you invest when black women don't got no money to invest. I have shown you in several videos, in my last channel and on this one, you can invest anytime you want, and you don't have to have a lot of dollars. I say this all the time. It takes $5 a month or a week to get you started. Nobody is telling you to go try to be some big fancy trader on Wall Street because you don't got the money for that. But for little apps that basically do a investing, sort of like a high yield savings account, where they use the same moderation formula that is used on mortgages to gain interest, that happens to your money. So what I'm saying, there are ways to do everything in this life as long as you learn how to do it and you put your energy behind it. She is not giving that message. She's always talking about trying to create a rift between older women and younger women, and only the younger women who are ignorant are actually falling for that. Because if I could sit down, because I actually do deal with real life young women where I literally walk them through everything I have accomplished so that they can have it as well. I have a young lady right now I'm working with where she's working on her master's degree, because I have a master's but I don't have a PhD, right? And I have 2 BAs. So I'm helping her get the master's so that she can try to shoot for an accelerated program that includes a PhD. I've gotten her at least two jobs already that were high paying. She lost one and now she's in the second one, right? So I don't just talk, I practice what I preach. And I'm also here, the only one that I've seen so far on YouTube, actually giving information and showing people how to get money and do this and giving them information on where to get it. I have never seen her do that. But yet she wanted to talk about how I was somehow severely detached from reality, and I'm able to have some type of physic ability where I could be stuck in time back in maybe like 1970, 1980, or 1990 and stay there and not really be attached to the life that I have to live in every day and interact with people, go to work and deal with, still make money presently and maintain myself and move forward for the future. She really talks like an idiot from time to time. Like she's trying to make these young women believe that older women are so detached from reality that we don't deal with the everyday discrimination and disparate treatment that every black woman, despite her age, goes through on a daily basis. I have no idea what is mentally wrong with that woman. But let me go to this. Oh, and to get back to the point that I had circumvented around, I said all of those things to show that when she's trying to say that it was easier for us older women than it is for the women today, she's completely incorrect. Okay? Completely. Were there different programs to help black women get employment in the government? Yes. Did I partake in those as well? Yes. I did that in my city in New York, where when we got our first black mayor, he actually opened up the opportunity for all black people to work for the city, the state, and the federal government. I jumped on it. However, that was not before I had already secured a job in private corporate America, already making my first almost $100,000 by myself. So when those other opportunities came along, I took advantage of it for the security. Because those of us that really work real private corporate jobs, we know you could be making money rolling in the dough today and tomorrow give somebody the wrong look or you decide that you don't want to fuck them and you're out of a job. That's really how they get down. She wouldn't know anything about that because she has never had to work that hard. But let me go to manage. Oh, before I do that, let me say the reason why I could say with confidence she doesn't work that hard is because I can remember her saying on a live or two that she had to take a second job because the job she had wasn't enough and she needed to do more. And she was asking for additional cash payments on her lives because she needed them. That is why I'm confident in saying what I'm saying. I have never come on YouTube and asked any black woman for money because I don't take black women's money because I know how hard it is we got to work to get it. I apologize for the noise in the background. The children are having a great time in the playground behind me, and that's one of the demonstrations for the immigrants that have come to New York City, so forgive them, all right? I work not too far from here in the mayor with the mayor, and that's the reason why all these people are here. So let me go on and read managers. I may not feel like white supremacy is to blame for the destruction of the community, black women and children, but I do agree that we all have a chance to overcome and do better with our lives. And I feel the same way because what young women today may not understand is that I am 55. I have lived and been around for, in my state, in my city, when colleges were absolutely free to go to school. They were free to go to college, right? But also, there were no black colleges in New York City. I was alive to see the invention and come to life, come to fruition, CUNY College, the first black CUNY college in New York City that I attended, that I graduated from. And so, listen, she with the things that she's saying doesn't make sense because this speaks to not knowing your history. And I speak to young black women about that all the time. You need to take a course in school or just read women's studies of New York City, of America, of whatever state you're from. So you really understand the real struggles that those women that you run around calling elderly, old, obese, and etc. All these disgusting, gross names that may not actually apply to the person you're talking about, but to others, right? And know the real challenges we have been through. She absolutely has no idea of the fact that when I was in high school, I was a very politically active young woman. Here in New York City, we had a big riot against the police in New York City in a place called Alphabet City, where there were a bunch of homeless teenage people that used to live in the abandoned houses. In New York City, they call them squatters. So the mayor at the time, Mayor Koch, he decided that he wanted all us young kids out of that building. Now, I wasn't homeless, but some of the friends that I used to hang out with, they were. And because I could not bring them home with me, I often used to go hang out with them in those buildings that they used to squat in that were quite dilapidated, right? So let me get on with the story. When they came to move them out, I was actually there too. And she has no idea what it's like to be thrown downstairs by police officers, roughed up in a riot, thrown in jail, all because you were standing up for other people's rights. Maybe you didn't have to get involved with the fight or not. The march is coming, so it's gonna get loud soon, or you didn't. But I decided to take that stand. And when I decided to take that stand, that was during a time when black people were being subject to stop 250, stop and frisk, and all types of other discriminative and disparate treatments by police in New York City. And I was subject to that shit too. So when she's talking about we had things easy and we were buffered, she has no idea of the things us black women went through individually in all these different states that we come from. So for her, sorry, I'm trying to run away from them, get across the street, not get hit and get on the other side. For us to go through all those things and have these young women always trying to fight with us because maybe their moms might not have been the way they should have been, or their grandmothers and the people in their neighborhood or their family members, that does not mean every single one of us was like them, right? That whole thing about my sons. Yes, I have sons. But are my sons out here taking other women's lives? No, they're not. The one that does have children, he's responsible for his kid. Give me 1 second to close up my chair. He is responsible for his child and the mother. And you know why? Because I make sure of it and I raised him to be that way. In addition to that, he cares about his son and cares about her. Even though that's not anybody's business on YouTube, I am telling you that. And I absolutely agree with you, Manage, where they try to paint the narrative of us being a monolith just because we're older black women. And it gets to the point where I think, what are you, jealous? Because we actually took the time to invest in our own lives, go to college, get a degree, get a job that actually paid for us to have a mortgage, to have a 2-car garage, and to have things in life we want, and be able to have children that are able to sustain themselves. That's not our fault that you can't get your shit together. I have daughters too, 4 of them, right? Not one of them is out here being a fucking bum, okay? They took advantage of all of the things that are out here for them now that I didn't have. And even when they were younger, they did the same thing, all right? She has spoke about a part where, older women like me with sons, our children are supposed to be illiterate, etc. If you know anything about New York City, we have specialized schools here for kids that are exceptional. Every one of my sons went to a high-performing high school. I had 2 that went to Brooklyn Tech, 1 that went to Bronx Science. So she needs to go look up those things and see. If I was such a terrible mom Okay? How would they be able to go to those specialized schools that you had to specially test for in order to attend those schools? How would I do that? Right? And my daughter's just as smart, if not smarter. One of my daughters got a full scholarship to attend high school in a private boarding school. Okay? So she does not know what she's talking about, and I'm not an exception to the rule. Almost everybody during the time that my daughter applied for those programs and their kids applied to, they got the same thing. So it's not like it was just me, it was everybody in that time era. So you're in a time era now, young women, where you have more access to things instantaneously because of the internet. If you don't choose to do it, how can anybody else force you, right? How can they force you? You know what's crazy? Manage. They can go to Ivy League colleges online. They never have to apply for college. They never have to show up in person. They can attend and take classes online from every goddamn Ivy League school in America just by going on the website, applying for that course, paying for it, and showing the fuck up in your house as soon as the class starts. So you tell me who has more of an advantage in America to make money and make something out of themselves if they want to. I wish to God I would have had that opportunity when I was 19 or 22 years old. I had to work two fucking jobs, not have to. I chose to, plus attend college. So don't do it. Don't talk about who has more of an advantage or, in her words, who was buffered more than the other. You can have the world. It's at the tip of your fucking fingertips as soon as you hit that keyboard. So the only reason why you don't have individually and others like you is because you don't choose to. And with that, y'all, I'm sorry it's almost 2. I got to get back to work because this old, decrepit, elderly, busted, obese, um, how do they say that shit? Thuns having or whatever the fuck. Unproductive black woman who got probably more than she ever will have has to take her ass back to work so she can maintain it. Okay. All right, I gotta go. I appreciate you, Manage, for contributing to the chat and the live. Everything you said was spot on. And let me just say this by ending the live. Young black women, this is not about divide and conquer or having a rift between us with a us versus them. I'm not about that. I'm about all black women getting where they're supposed to be in life. Period. No matter what it takes to get there. I'm not talking about stepping over or using each other. But if it means you gotta work hard, bust your ass, and not get much sleep, then so be it. All right, next time you hear from me on this topic, I'm gonna be doing that 2-part video because I want to show y'all all of the shit you got access to today versus the shit I didn't have access to back then. Have a great day. Thank you for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be well.